Hey, COS 133, it's Professor Burke. I hope you've had a good weekend. I'm going to get right into it because we got a lot of work to do this week, so get ready. So we're going to be finishing up your Module 3 project. Let's take a look at that. So by now you should have taken the quiz in Module 3. It is a longer quiz, so you will be expected to give sort of mini essays and short answers on that one. And remember, if you have gotten a lower grade than you hope to get, you could always go in and add to those answers. We usually try to give you some feedback on those if we wanted you to give more details. So again, we had the in-class discussion that we came for, so we've already graded that. And then again, you should be getting ready to finish up the Module 6 quiz. It's going to be due tomorrow, Monday, the 10th. So make sure you get in there and either submit it. And like I said, we need to have you resubmit any questions, be on the lookout for that. The other thing that is due tomorrow is your Module 3 project. And that's where you're taking two of your high school classes and you're creating a study tool for each of them. And then you're talking about each study tool. You're going to submit a picture or some kind of representation of what you created. And in your paragraph for each tool, you want to be talking about how and why did you select that tool, in which ways will you use the tool to prepare for an upcoming test or assignment in your class, how will you determine if it's effective, and explain 2 ideas from chapter 6 that will improve your approach to studying and that you plan to use. Okay. And as you're kind of seeing from some of the things we've graded already, we like a lot of detail. We want you to bring in what you're learning from the reading. So make sure you take that extra step to do that. Just to give you a little preview, we are going into next, after tomorrow's assignments are due, we're hoping that you're going to be starting on Module 4, which is Thinking, Communicating, and Problem Solving in a Diverse World. So we're going to be first working on problem solving and critical thinking and communication. First and foremost, read chapter 8. We also have a PowerPoint here that could help you sort of pull out the important things from chapter 8. There's a quiz on chapter 8 here that's due March 13th and a problem solving assignment that is due on March 17th. Let's take a little deeper look at that problem solving assignment in Module 4. You're going to open it up. It is in a Word document, and you should also be able to get it from the Google Docs. It's going to take a second for it to open on my computer. Sorry about that. It's a 3-part problem solving assignment, okay? And your writing, your grammar, your spelling. I notice sometimes people are using text language. Really try to proof this, okay? Make sure you're having somebody look it over because the writing parts are going to count for 10 points. So the first thing we need you to do in part 1 is define critical thinking. Based on the chapter reading, how would you define critical thinking? And we want it also in your own words. Why is critical thinking important in college and in other aspects of your life? And again, do not just copy and paste. Don't look it up and paste it. If you want to talk about what the textbook says, and we'd hope you would do that, according to our textbook, critical thinking is, and then maybe what your definition is. So we've given you a little bit of a guidance there. In part 2, you're going to think about how you think, right? And using all of the thinking skills. So we want you to define what this skill is and examples of how you've used it in the past 3 weeks. So remembering and recalling. Maybe you've had to, study for a science test, right? And so how you define recalling and remembering is, maybe you've created having to remember certain topics for a chapter in your science class, and you've had to create flashcards for that, okay? Or a study sheet. So defining what it means, what you're talking about, and then examples of how you use that type of thinking. These skills, these types of thinking, remembering and recalling, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating are all talked about in the chapter. So make sure you read the chapter because we kind of give you in the chapter some examples. So make sure you're looking there first, okay? And then we're going to give you a scenario, okay, for part 3. There's a scenario that's here, and then you have to define the problem of the scenario, narrow the problem down to its most important element, like what is really the problem. There's a lot of noise going on around this problem, but ultimately, like, boom, what's the bottom line to the problem? And generate at least 3 possible solutions, and then choose the best solution and say why it is. And again, you're using this sort of predetermined scenario for yourself there. So that is the module 4 problem solving assignment. So far in module 4, you have a quiz on chapter 8, you have the problem solving assignment. And again, that problem solving assignment is due on the 17th of March. Then we're going to get into critical thinking and communicating in a diverse world, right? Talking about diversity in our world. And so we want you to read chapter 7, diversity and inclusion. There's also a video that talks about the highlights from chapter 7 that we did. And then we're going to come in class on March 20th, and we're going to talk about what does it mean to belong, okay? And we're going to have some thought on that. And then you're going to have an assignment on March 24th, due on March 24th, on identity and belonging. So let's take a look at that. So these are all the elements right here that create your current identity. So we want to know what elements of these create your current identity. Consider the image above, including the categories of identity it mentions and the questions in the center. You could discuss race, ethnicity, religious background, gender identity, sexual orientation. I got to get back to it. Sorry about that. I closed it by accident. It really is an exciting assignment, I promise you. Socioeconomic class or anything else that makes you you. So in looking at this, how would you describe yourself? And, you know, we want you to be honest. You're not going to have to share it with anybody else. If you're not comfortable, only Professor Domino and I will be reading it, and Mr. Dunshee. So feel free to be as honest as you want to be, but make sure you look at this chart to also talk about yourself, right, in these terms, whichever terms you're comfortable. Number 2, share a story about a time when you felt like you were an outsider and felt like you did not belong. Write a paragraph of at least 5 or 10 sentences minimum. And then share a story of the opposite experience, right? A time that you felt a true sense of belonging and acceptance. What were some of the specific things in that situation that made you feel like you belonged? And again, we're looking at like 5 to 10 sentences minimum. We're looking for substantial stories and elaborations about what made you feel like you didn't belong, and then what was the situation where you felt like you did belong. What were the things that happened in those situations? And then 4, think about your life right now and the interactions you have with people. How could you increase your sense of belonging in your circles? You might discuss random acts of kindness, expressing empathy for others, compassion, seeking out opportunities to interact with new people or have new experiences. Think about your life right now and how can you enrich it by expanding your circles, by getting out of your comfort zone, by interacting with people that maybe you're not used to interacting with or who need to be interacted with. We all know folks that may be seeming like they don't have as many friends, right? Why not go up and talk to them? You know, why not show some compassion and empathy in certain situations? So that is the module 4 second assignment. So you've got 2 assignments in there. Let's go back and look at it here. So again, in module 4, you got to read chapter 8. You're going to have a quiz on chapter 8, and then you have the problem solving assignment. Then you have to read chapter 7 on diversity and inclusion. We're going backwards. First you read 8, then you read 7. And there's a video on diversity and inclusion, and then the identity and belonging assignment. And that will take us to the end of March. So you got a lot to work on. You're finishing up module 3 with the module 3 assignment and the quiz that are both due tomorrow. Make sure you get those in. And then right away, we're starting on module 4 that has 2 chapters in it and is a pretty significant and very important chapter. So if you have any questions at all, let us know. You can shoot us an email. You could have Mr. Dunshee get in touch with us if the class needs further clarification. But keep plugging at it. And then, like I said, if anything comes up and you have any questions at all, please feel free to get in touch with us. And we look forward to reading your assignments and seeing what you have to offer in these areas. So have a great week, and we will talk to you soon.